Welcome to the Beer Blazers podcast. This is episode number 3 for April 25th, 2016, recorded at Storybook Brewing in Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is Beer Blazers. Welcome to another episode of Beer Blazers. I'm your host, Eric Johnson, and I'm joined this lovely afternoon by Kirei. Hello. And Eric Beehler.
Throw your hands in the air.
Like you just don't care. That sounds rehearsed, because it is. Anyway, so we're back at Storybook Brewing. We recorded about a week ago, and I recorded one mic to 2 tracks. So the long and the short of it is I have Beehler, I have Kirei, and I have Pete.
I thought it was pretty good because you didn't talk at all.
I didn't. It was It was a great episode.
We need to go solo-ish.
Yeah. If you're gonna talk solo-ish, talk into the mic, woman.
Well, I'm sorry.
There we go.
Solo-ish.
No, and by the way, I figured out with that whole debacle that these mics are quite good, even though I'm 2 feet away and can't hear me. So that's the
good investment on the mic.
Good investment on the mic, but
not so much on hitting the record button.
Not so much on the main host.
Yeah, not so much on the host situation.
We're just gonna drop down to a cassette recorder next time.
You know what? I'm just gonna retire like Jon Stewart. Maybe Trevor Noah can come in and take over the show. Hashtag Daily Show Beer Blazers.
Yeah, we should totally get Trevor Noah.
That would be pretty awesome. So we're back at Storybook to record the episode yet again. We're here. We have, it looks like 11 different beers to sample throughout our episode. You need to talk louder. I can't hear you.
All of the noms.
There you go. I think the headphones are making you quieter, but you still need to yell.
Yeah, well, they do it to you too. You do the same thing. When I don't wear the headphones, I can barely hear you because you drop down like way low.
Yeah, it's because I'm loud in my own
don't do the
ears.
NPR thing.
Loud in my own ears.
Let me tell you about my sweaty balls.
So, the sweaty balls. We have 11 beers to try. I'm going to run through them real quick, and then we'll taste them and try them throughout the episode. We have the Gnomish Beer Goggles, the APA, the Little Red's Rockin' Ale, which is their red ale, a Charity Brown, which is a brown ale, in case you guys didn't know. They have a Java Dragon Porter. It looks like we have that on both CO2 and nitro, so we get to compare the difference between those. They have the Whoa, like Joey from Blossom.
Yep.
The Whoa.
I get the reference because I'm that old.
Right. The Whoa Blackberry, the Last Straw, berry. That's their wheat. By the way, the Whoa Blackberry also a wheat. The Crypto Zoo IPA, the Killenhaven Grapefruit IPA. We have the Angel Feather, which is another brown, and then the Alternate Awareness Belgian Double, which is 8.3% of Lovely's alcohol. So, anyway, that's the intro. That's the beer. We're here. We're ready. Anything new and exciting with you guys, or just kind of the same old, drinking, working?
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Very long day.
Yeah.
On my commute.
You came straight.
The highway was
straight from Denver to the brewery.
You almost killed a bitch on the highway.
Mm-hmm. That kind of day. So I really need a beer. That's all I'm saying.
Good news. We have 11. So I think that's going to be pretty good for you. For those of you playing the home game, we are also giving something away in today's episode. Little freebie.
Again.
Yes. Well, giving it away for the first time for the second time. Pete has agreed. Pete, by the way, the owner of the brewery, the establishment that we are frequenting here, has agreed to give away a growler. Not just a growler. Not just an empty bottle. Oh, no. A growler with beer in it. So we're going to tell you later in the show how you can get yourself entered into that little contest.
I can win?
Friends and family of Beer Blazers are not not eligible.
No.
Yeah. If we draw your name, it would be awfully suspicious.
What if I put a fake name in?
You're already doing that.
Okay.
So anyway, we're going to be announcing that a little bit later in the show, how you can get yourself a hold of a nice frosty growler of delicious Storybook brew. Anyway, so we're going to start trying some beers, but before we do, I wanted to kind of throw out the subject that I wanted to chat about today, get you guys sort of thinking about it, even though we already talked about it once. Maybe you have new ideas. We want to discuss beer events. Tis the season. We're into spring. We got summer coming up. There's 3 beer events a weekend, it seems, around here, whether that's at a brewery or the big ones.
Yeah, they're all over. And we're heading into the summer months, spring, summer months.
Yes.
And that really gets it going because the outdoors.
You get the lovely outdoor venues, and this all kind of culminates with GABF, Great American Beer Festival, in October is the big one. And then there's still some through the winter. But
how are the tickets on that thing? They go in like 5 minutes, don't they?
They go pretty quick. For the GABF, if you want tickets, it helps to be an American Homebrewer Association member because they do a member pre-sale for a day, and you can usually get a ticket. Otherwise, yeah, you need to be online, and then you need to your internet connection needs to win that day.
How do you become a member
of American Homebrewers Association?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Well, it's typically for homebrewers or brewers. However, anyone who goes to American Homebrewers website and signs up for $30 or whatever it is a year,
so I can put a fake name in.
You could put a fake name in. Yeah, you could do what you want. But so there's tickets and there's ways to get them. But we're going to talk about what are beer fests. Why would you go? Why are they awesome and why are they not awesome? We're going to discuss that.
Because drinking.
And that's the pro. That's the pro. So, but before we get too far down the road to which we can't be recovered from, let's try some of this tasty brew. So Kirei's reaching for the first one. She's just going for it. Just it's
Don't
cool.
spill it on the gear now.
Watch the gear. So this is the Gnomish beer goggles. This is the APA. I can't actually see the alcohol percentage on this one. Do you have that on your photo there, Kirei?
That is 6.5%.
6.5%. So this one meant to be more of an American pale. I expect a little bit of hoppiness, a little bit of sweet, but not a lot. But let's see. I haven't tried it yet. This is just what I'm expecting.
I like this one.
I think you like it. It's got a nice sweet note to it. Not overly hoppy, but I do taste the hop.
Yeah. Right on the back end, you get a little bit of it, but for the most part, it's really, I don't know. It's sweet.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's got
it's like caramel.
Caramel, flowery
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, there's definitely some caramel to it. It's got a little bit of hop, but not a lot.
So this says APA. What is an APA?
APA is an American pale ale. It's usually the little brother of an IPA.
Oh.
So it shares a lot of the same characteristics. I mean, you can see the color, you can see some of the consistency, the way they make them.
So if you were to compare this
hoppy.
to, say, like a Sierra Nevada pale ale, what's the difference there?
It's kind of in that same vein. So the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and this are going to be about in the same vein, and it's sort of the little brother to a big Indian pale. You will sometimes see bars that say APA and they mean it's an apricot pale ale, so you need to ask. This one clearly not an apricot flavored beer at all. The next one on our little list to try real quick before we venture down is the red. This is another 6.5%, 27 IBU. So again, should be a nice caramely red. And I don't think I put my ratings in on our first record of this show, so I'll have to put those on.
I couldn't find some of them. I was struggling to find them on the thing.
Yeah, this is a total small brewery, so I think we may have to enter some of these.
And that happens. Ooh. That's got a very nice sweet carameliness.
Yeah, it's not as caramely. It's not as sweet as the first one, I feel like. That one's definitely more hoppy, but it's still very
What was the IBU on the first one? It's also cut off in my little picture.
54, is that what you're looking for?
Yes. So that one absolutely that one should have been twice as hoppy as this one.
I didn't taste that.
And
I think a lot of it was like, those soft caramel candies. That's kind of what that first one tasted like, with a little bit of hop at the end.
And I think some of that came from, it's just very well balanced, the sweetness of the hops. I want a little more sip. She's grabbing at it.
I'm trying to put it back for you.
Well, we're trying to drink them. We don't have to put them back on the shelf.
Yeah, I know.
Keep track of those.
Don't abuse the beer.
You gotta keep track of them.
We do have to keep track of them. We don't want wandering off.
Don't F that up.
I will also like to point out that this Storybook is a lot like a couple of other breweries in town we've been to. This is a dog-friendly establishment. So they're inside, they're on the patio, they're everywhere. So if you hear barking, that's not Kirei.
There's
dang.
You're a bitch.
Or I guess it's not
like
me
four
either.
dogs in here right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome.
When we were getting set up, we had the headphones a little hot, and a couple of them barked, and man, that you'll feel that straight through your entire body. So yeah, beer events. Are you planning on doing any this summer? I know you love the Oktoberfest in Breckenridge.
Oh my God, I love Oktoberfest.
That's later in the year. In October.
It's in September.
Yeah, see, I let you do that to me.
What do we have coming up on the calendar? What's
so coming up at the end of this week is going to be the Brewer. I can never pronounce it. It's that German one. The one we talked about. Brewer. That's the one. So that's the one that's going to be at the Wings Over the Rockies Air and Space Museum at the end of the month. That one is a big pairing of different foods, and so I got a little information about that in recording another episode that hasn't released yet, but I'll share it. So Chris at Pikes Peak Brewery was telling me that the way they run that is they have a restaurant, and then the restaurant gets paired up with a brewer ahead of time, and they work together to create a pairing dish for you. So when you get up there, their beers have been paired with their foods very nicely.
I like food.
Yeah, and this has it. And if you're not a big beer drinker, there is a food-only ticket that is available, and basically the tickets for this run from $65 to $95. It ends at 9, but you pay for how early you want to get there. You can get there at 4, and that's $95. And if you want to get there later and spend less time with the food and beer, it gets cheaper. So that's how they're running that one. Wings Over the Rockies. That's actually the one this month that I'm kind of excited about. I might try to get up to that.
I love the beer pairings. Yeah. I love it when a nice restaurant puts on a good beer pairing too. There's a nice spot in town called Blue Star. They'll do beer pairing dinners, and we're not just talking about chicken wings.
Right.
We're talking about high-end dining, some real innovative cuisine. And then they'll go ahead and pair it up. We went to a Dogfish Head.
A Dogfish Head beer dinner.
One time. Fantastic. And Dogfish Head known for their unusual brews and their combinations.
Yes.
And so they were really able to be creative and come up with some interesting things.
Yep, and the Dogfish Head, I think there were 12 different beers at the Dogfish Head dinner. Mm-hmm. They're similar pours to what they'll give you here, but they tend to come back around and go, how do you like that one so far? And your glass tends to get topped off a little bit.
Is that a DC beer?
No, it's definitely East Coast. Right? I don't think it's Massachusetts. It's I will double check the actual locale on that, but no, it's East Coast. I knew a friend that went out and lived in Maryland, and I think she worked for them.
I tried to bring that back for Christmas about a year or so ago when we did that.
Because you went out and did DC.
Yes, I did. I tried to bring that back.
It's actually based in Milton, Delaware, but they probably have little spots all over the East Coast. So, Dogfish Head is definitely a good one. Beer dinners, beer events. What is coming up this summer? There's usually Rails and Ales happens where you get on a train and you ride your happy ass to the top of Levita Pass.
You've been on that one before,
I've done Rails and Ales. It's about a 2-hour train ride up. And it's this old train. They have all these old recovered cars from the old Rio Grande Railroad. Sorry, I'm also dying. I'll put that in the show notes. Anyway, so you ride the train up, and there's beer to buy and drink on the train.
We're this close to getting a new host.
Yeah, I know. Trevor Noah, you look. We need you on Beer Blazers. So you go up to the top, and there's this wonderful little event ground where they have a little amphitheater, and they have all the breweries set up, and you can only get there by the train. There's no road up. Well, there must be some road up because they bring the gear up, but there's no public access road, right? And heck, they might even bring the stuff up on the train. So I've turned your headphones down. I'm trying to get you to talk louder.
No, I'm being kind.
I know, I appreciate it. Anyway, so you ride up, and then you spend about 3 hours up there drinking beer, listening to music, sampling the fare, and then you drive back. And I will caution those of you that go up, it's not like a beer fest where you get done and then you just walk back to your hotel or you go back. You need to ride a train for 2 hours back down to San Luis or whatever. And
it's like a day-long commitment then.
It's a day-long commitment, and people are on the train or passed out in corners. No, I did not. I was good. I took it a little easier, but there were people just head down on the table.
I was going to say, because the altitude's so high.
The altitude's high, and the train's not exactly modern, so it's not like they have a freezing cold air conditioning.
They need to warm it up. I'm just saying.
They do need to warm it up.
Understood.
So Rails and Ales happens over the summertime. And Beehler, you've been to a couple. There's also All Colorado Beer Fest. I mean, look, seriously going to die.
When is that Sour Fest thing?
So the Sour Fest at Avery is usually in the summer. Tickets for that, I actually have a note in my calendar. Tickets go on sale on May 6th. They haven't announced the day of the event. Last year, I think it was sometime late June, and it never happened. And the year before, it was always in June.
How did you like the Sour Fest?
So there's so much to say.
That's a leading question.
Well, I've heard some wonderful stories about the ride back down, but I'm just curious how the festival was.
I met up with him after the Sour Fest, if I'm not mistaken.
That was the Strong Brew Fest.
Oh, that was...
There's also the Strong Brew Fest, which, by the way, your beer has to be 8.5% or higher. I think that's the number to qualify.
Okay, well, let me relate a story. I met them downtown.
Hang on, let me finish my Sour Fest.
We almost have one of those on the list.
All right, we're going to come back to Sour Fest. Go ahead, Strong M.
I met them downtown. I did not go to the Strong Fest, and they showed up. One of them couldn't leave the hotel room because they couldn't stop grabbing the floor and hanging on for dear life.
He was unable to put his shoes on.
So we were meeting at a restaurant.
He's like, I'll be down in a minute. And his wife was like, no, he won't.
And you and all your friends.
It was just me and one friend. Because the other one was drunk in the hotel room.
Yeah.
No, it was Jose as my brewing buddy.
Yeah, but his wife.
His wife, and then my wife was there.
Yeah.
Jose and I were in.
He couldn't put his shoes on?
He could get his shoes on.
Oh, okay.
You're lucky your wife doesn't like beer. You got a designated driver.
It's very true. And Jose would describe us as being in rare form. So the Strong Ale Fest, actually, as much as I liked it, as much as there were some awesome beers there, I would not go again just because if you're an overindulger, it's easy to do so at the Strong Ale.
Well, and I always want to try everything. It's like...
Exactly. You want to go and you want to try every beer.
Everything.
Yeah.
And if that's strong beer, what, about 6 in and you're about gone?
Yeah, and it's still sample size pours, but
I mean, logically, maybe you should do more like, the sommeliers do, the wine connoisseurs, where they sip it and spit it.
No, I'm not going to spit it. I'm not spitting
I'm
anything.
just saying, like, if you want to try everything and not get,
schnockered. Well, you can ask.
Not be able to put your shoes on.
Here's the thing. I've gone up to some of the guys and been like, can I just get a little bit? And they go, sure. And they fill your glass up. You're like, okay, fine. And another friend of mine that was there, who didn't come back down to Denver for the drunken evening, he kept wanting to drink the Avery porters and stouts they had, but they had 3 of them at the main bar at their brewery, which is now, by the way, moved, but the main bar at the old brewery, and they were all like 15.5%. And so he liked to do what he called the Avery trifecta, and we'd walk over there and we'd drink all 3 of those in a row, and then we'd go try a couple of those, and we came back and drink all 3 of those in a row again. And so we didn't exactly...
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it was not. It was a bad plan, but it's a great festival. They also do the Sour Fest, which, when we went, was 84 different sour beers.
Holy cow.
If you've ever had a sour beer, it's very much a love it or hate it kind of thing. I don't know a lot of people that go, no, sours are just okay. You either like sours a lot or you don't want to put them anywhere near your face. I mean, there might be some in between.
There's some meh ones. I've tried some meh ones.
And there are definitely sours I dislike.
That we've done throughout town, especially here. Actually, here, the last time we did this, 4 of them on the list I really liked, and were totally drinkable. And I'm drinking one right now on top of the 4 that we have. Yeah. So,
well, and here's the thing with the sours. 84 of them. I tried every single one because what we did is we got our group of, I think we had 6 of us, and we'd all go get 6 different beers, and then we'd sit down at the table and basically do what we're doing here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And we'd pass the little sample glasses around, so we got to try everything. Out of those 84 beer, there were probably 10 that I would actively seek out in a liquor store. And not that they were necessarily bad, but they were ho-hum. Some were bad. Some tasted like they were brewed in shoe leather.
I mean, they are sours, though. I mean...
and they have to age it, and it's a difficult balance, and so some were bad.
Would you say any of them were just bad?
I would say they
went bad?
There were 1 or 2 that were not... maybe they had gone bad. They weren't, in our opinion, drinkable. And what we did, to sort of be fair, is we went around the table and we said, whoever rates this beer the best gets to finish off the little sample glass. So, because we'd all privately rate it between 1 and 10, and then we go, you gave it the 6.5, you give it the 7, here, you finish it. We had 2 beers where no one rated it above a 2, and we had to I think we had to draw straws
to finish it.
Yeah, it was bad. One of the best beers at that festival, I got to give them props, was a couple sours from AC Golden. And for those of you that don't know, that's Coors. And so they had a couple really nice sours. But here's the thing about the Sour Fest that was entertaining. They had big bottles of chewable antacid at every water station.
Seriously?
Yeah, and you know what? It was a good plan. You pop it through, because you get a lot of that acid and everything rolling around. Oof, it starts to get you. But you pop a few antacids, good. And that fest actually, we did not leave overly schnockered. The Strong Ale Fest, I'm pretty sure I probably lost hours of my life. But the Sour Fest, we walked out under our own accord and actually went to a brewery up in Boulder for dinner and had another sample flight.
So most of these seem to sit around the 6-ish kind of range, because there's a couple 5s, there's a few 7s, but most of the middle of the road are 6. But we do have one 8.3 on the list, and that is the alternate awareness one, the very last one we'll try.
That's the Belgian Doobie. Yeah, and these are kind of, I don't know if you remember, but even just 5-6 years ago, a full-strength beer was 5%. And anything above that was kind of a crazy thing. But here it's they have 1 below 6. And that's just sort of the...
No, they have 2. There's 2 5.4s.
It's the same beer. It's one on... Yeah, it's one on nitro and one on CO2.
All right.
But in general, not IBUs, but ABVs have been going up over the last few years.
They have. And we're getting to that point, right, where it's starting to equate with some stronger wines, perhaps.
Yes.
I don't know what the limit is before you get past being able to call it beer.
Well,
there's a percentage that you hit.
What does it become then? If it's not beer, what does it become?
Grain alcohol.
That sounds terrible.
Well, that's what beer is. Beer is great. It's made with grain.
I know, but it sounds like that's a really bad name.
Well, here's the thing. You can get, with brewing alone, with brewing and fermentation alone, you can get a beer to about 15%. And that's if you really get a lot of sugar and really let it dry out when you
I like sugar.
Yeah. And it all goes away because the yeast likes it too.
Oh, that's sad.
So it can go away and about 15%. Then there's alternative methods, whether that's blending. One thing that's pretty popular, and they can still call it beer. A couple companies do this, and I don't know the name of the company, but there's a beer out there that I've always wanted to try. I never have. I think it's like $70 for a bomber. It's called Tactical Nuclear Penguin, right? And yeah,
that's the best name ever.
I know, right? And here's why they call it that. They brew the biggest beer they can, or ish, right? And then they freeze it. And when they freeze it, all the beer tends to head to the bottom, and the ice ends up on the top, which is just the water. And then they'll scrape all the ice off, and then they'll thaw it out, and they can repeat this process. And so by freezing and scraping off the water, you're removing the water and leaving the alcohol.
It's a little screwed up.
Yeah, so they can push that puppy up to higher ABVs without having to distill. Otherwise, you distill, and distilling is pulling out more and more water. In fact, I know someone who's trying to look into the process of distilling, and in general, he says you could start with a beer, basically, that's been brewed with no hops, basically just a grain liquor at that point. You ferment it, and then you put it through the distilling process. And that typically involves boiling it. And again, the water goes off with evaporation, and the liquor runs back. You've seen it on like the TV show where the liquor comes down the little copper coil, and out comes moonshine.
How'd that go again?
It went like this with a spin of the hand, and then...
It's basically your mash, right? Your sour mash.
Yes. Sorry, I'm dying again. Which is basically how you do a beer. You mash, which is basically mixing your water and your grain, and you allow the hot water to extract the sugar. And it's like bourbon. If bourbon is brewed in Kentucky, it's bourbon. If it's brewed outside of Kentucky, it's sour mash whiskey. It's very local to the... Just like champagne has to come from Champagne, right?
Right.
It's the way those kind of things tend to work.
Champagne.
Champagne.
What's the next one? What we got?
The next beer actually is the Charity Brown, 6.2 ABV, 24 IBU, so that should not be that hoppy as you sip through that. It should be nice and crisp and clean and delicious.
This is where they get harder to words because I can't describe that one. Yeah, it's not caramel, it's not coffee, it's malty maybe?
Malty, I guess you could, yeah. There's definitely a maltiness to it. It's got a little bit of a bread kind of smell to it.
Sorry, I'm grabbing my food.
No, that's quite all right. Eat and talk.
And by the way, they have who's here today? Felipe got it. Burritos and more. And I tell you what, the green chili fries, they were so good.
Felipe got it. It does say on the back of this to follow them.
Are you making
Facebook.
that a thing?
It says to follow them on Facebook, but it does not say what their Facebook is. So go search Felipe Got It, which is FELIPE Got It on Facebook. You can find them. I haven't had them. These guys seem pretty happy with what they're
I loved the green chili fries, and I had carne asada on top of the fries. It was really good.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Okay, back to Wordzing this beer.
Wordzing the beer.
No, it's.
I'd say if you want to put a caramel note to it, it'd be a dark caramel, almost a burnt caramel.
Mm-hmm. It has a typical sort of brown, American brown kind of flavor. I mean, it's got that richer caramel, but it's not sweety. Sweet caramel.
Definitely not sweet.
So it has this kind of deep, rich roastiness to it. And I will say...
Roastiness.
Roastiness. You said words.
Yeah, no, that's the word. That's a good word.
Oh, that's the word you want.
Multi-roastiness.
Yes, there you go. And I will say I'm a little biased. I like Storybook. I've been here prior to recording, and I've been here now twice recording. I like their beer, so I'm probably not going to say a lot of bad things about them.
I have honestly, and I'm not a beer drinker, and we've all made this very clear, abundantly clear.
Abundantly clear.
But I go to work and brag about this place. Somebody will bring up some other brewery, and I'll be like, oh my God, you got to go to Storybook. And I like at least 4 of the beers they have here. And it was the first 4 that we tried last time, plus that bourbon one was really good. But...
that bourbon stout.
Oh,
that one was phenomenal.
So good.
And in fact, if you want to just come in here and get a sticker, it's an amazing dragon logo, and he's got like beer.
Dude, the logo is so legit.
Yeah, the logo's pretty hardcore. So he gives away the Storybook stickers if you come in, and one lucky listener is going to come in for a free growler. Stay tuned for more on that as the show goes on.
Oh, jelly!
I know. I just keep teasing. It's like when they say, "What's in your water that's killing you?" More tonight at 10. You're like, I really should know that now, but. That's fine.
Could you tell me whether or not I need to stop drinking the water?
Then, yeah, exactly. At least say what's in your water that's killing you. Don't drink water.
Don't drink
and
it.
Tune in 10 out of 10. Don't let
Not
me keep
for at least
drinking
a
water.
year.
Yeah. Well, unless you live in like Flint.
So I think we should do 3 of them because these next 2 are kind of similar.
The next 2 are basically the same beer. So we've got the Java Dragon Porter. We have it both on CO2 and nitro. And they're at 5.4%. These are dark porters. The difference you should have, so that first one that you just tried, Kirei, that should taste a little more carbonated and kind of a bigger mouthfeel. The second, the nitro, should be creamier.
Oh my God, yeah.
And a little smoother.
No, that's absolutely what's... So that one's definitely more bubbly, kind of like a soda kind of bubbly.
Like a beer.
But that one's creamy. That's like coffee, and it's so good.
This is like a coffee chocolate drink.
Yeah, it's
almost
like
when it's on nitro.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say, I haven't tried the nitro yet. I'm going to get a hit of that. I will say that the nitro is an interesting way to serve certain styles of beer. There are places I've been to that overdo it, and they're putting everything on nitro. There's a name brand from a large brewery available in cans. It's an IPA on nitro. Not a big fan. That style to me doesn't come off as well creamy.
Right.
But a porter and a stout, these should come off.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely. It's like having like a beer espresso. It's so good.
I feel like I need a chocolate cake.
I'll do certain reds nitro as well.
You could do a red because again they have more of a caramel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I want a big piece of chocolate cake.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And too bad it's so expensive to have nitro at home.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's not cheap to have CO2. You have to have the system for that, which I do. No surprise.
See, and I don't like the CO2 as much. The nitro is so much better.
Well, and it's going to take, to some people, it almost takes some of the bitter off, and you're going to get this creamy.
Yes. Yeah, creamy,
yeah.
So creamy.
And it tends to be, I've noticed that people that drink, that say I don't like beer, the thing about beer that puts them off is the bitter, sort of some of the IPAs and stuff.
Yep.
So when they find sweet beers, the strawberries, the blueberries, something creamy like that, we can just rope them right on into the entire situation, and they can drink with it. So, there's another beer event, by the way, I want to mention, and maybe this is why we screwed up the recording, so that I was able to talk about this beer event, because I just learned about this beer event Monday night. Because again, I was recording an episode which is coming out after this one, Pikes Peak Brewery, and I guess every summer, and Beehler's going to be especially excited about this one, they have a food pairing event up there. He calls it grain versus grape.
Oh.
And what they do is they take these dishes, and he brings in a winery, and for each dish, he picks the best beer he thinks he has that goes with it, and the winery picks the best wine they think that goes with that same dish. So the people attending the event sit down, they try the food with the beer, and they try the food with the wine, and at the end of the night, there's like this court style, like, which one was better on that?
I need to go to this.
And they fight back and forth about which one, and he said sometimes, he says he's impressed by some of the foods that the wines went on, but he's also equally shocked of sometimes the foods that the beers went on. So that's an interesting event to really try some drinking.
How do we get in there?
You just purchase tickets and you go.
As a podcast.
I will talk to Chris. Maybe we can record an episode from
that would be awesome.
Versus
oh my God, I want to go to that.
Versus grape.
That's my wheelhouse. I can do that all day.
That, and if it's this big event at the end and they're voting, like we can just that's going to be like we're inside the OJ courtroom.
We can chit chat. Yeah, we could be the ones that are spectating this voting event. That sounds like fun.
I feel like I have to sneeze. You guys should talk for a second while I figure this out.
So how are we going to turn this into like a more Food Network like competition? Like should
like a cutthroat kitchen?
Yeah.
I should bring in little kitchens and little knives, little tiny brewing tools.
You have to brew your beer in this tiny little fermenter.
Tiny little baby-sized fermenter.
I think Food Network should get in touch with Chris at Pikes Peak Brewing. Because I think grain versus grape. You've got your show name right there.
Oh yes.
Just let this rock, baby.
And then it needs to be like this, like whole, like, court style, like, jousting to the death thing. I don't know. Okay. I went on a tangent.
Someone's gonna die.
Yeah. Well, probably the grains.
Okay. Well, Chris, if you listen to this episode, I want to apologize. I know you're expanding. You got a lot on your plate running Pikes Peak Brewery, but apparently you got a network deal coming. And Trevor Noah's taking over this show, so I'll just go do the Daily Show or something. It'll be good. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 6 more beers that we're going to try, but we are going to take our little mandatory break here, stretch our legs for just a second, and then we'll have the interview with Pete coming up, and we'll be right back.
Manama.
No, you have to go dun dun, because then the thing is manamana.
Oh, you're right.
So okay. It's ba-ba-da-na-na.
Banana.
No, not banana, manamana with an M. And then you have to go scat and they're like, "Mana, mana, na, 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 na," and then they look at you funny, and then they go, "Mana, mana, ba, ba, na, na." That was playing earlier when we came in, which is why this is happening now.
I think you're running over copyright at this point.
I think fair use is over?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, since my copyright lawyer just told me to take a break, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back with more Beer Blazers. And we're back. Joining me now is Pete Kilman, the owner and brewer here at Storybook Brewing. Thanks for coming on and chatting with us for a few minutes today, Pete.
Hey, thanks for having me, Eric. I really do appreciate it.
And thanks again for letting us come in and record. You've got a great little space here. You guys have been open for about 18 months. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much about that.
Okay, and a lot of new breweries are popping up around the Springs. What made you want to get into this very painstaking line of work?
It is, but it's actually what I enjoy. I was brewing every weekend for about 8 months a year.
So you were doing the homebrewing?
Yeah, the homebrewing thing. Back in 1996, I started brewing homebrewing, and every weekend I would brew and bottle or keg in the kitchen, and that's what I did all the time. And I was always reading about it, and my wife started getting upset about me taking over the kitchen. So she told me to go somewhere else and get a place. So originally this was just going to be like a man cave. So our first like month open, we didn't even have a sign. We didn't have an open sign. We didn't have a sign outside. We had the shades all shut and everything else, and we were not even going to, it was just going to be like me hanging out with friends because I have a pretty good day job, so I didn't really need that. So it was going to be pretty cool. And then Ryan from Focus on the Beer looked us up on some government site to find out that we were going to open, and went and spilt the beans on it, and so all of a sudden everybody started finding out about the place, and it worked out. I only have to work part-time now, my day job, so it's good.
Yeah, and I've done my fair share of home brewing, and 1 or 2 boilovers in the kitchen, and the wife gets a little upset with you. So,
you ever drop a glass carboy full of beer on the floor?
No, I haven't managed to pull that one off yet. I can't imagine that was like a 5-gallon.
Like 5 gallons of beer everywhere.
I mean, the worst part about that's got to be the loss of beer. You can get a new
No, I think the worst part about that was the fact that I wasn't allowed to brew for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. I had to sneak it in next time.
Gotcha. So are there any particular styles of beer that you personally prefer? I mean, you've got a great mix here. Browns, IPAs, stouts. Are there any styles that sort of speak to you, or do you just like beer as a whole in general?
You know, I love beer. I've always loved beer. You know, if you read some of the menu items, I've traveled over probably about 20 different countries, and every country I go to, one of my missions is to just find a good beer, and it doesn't matter what the style is. That doesn't mean I don't have favorites. My favorite style is going to be darker, roastier, porters, stouts, and things like that, browns. I'm not as much into fruit beers and things like that. So.
You do have a couple on the menu that I have to say are all pretty good.
Yeah, they're their number, you know, we've gotten a couple of awards for that, and so I have to keep brewing them, and they're our number one seller. So the fruit beer sells more than any other beer we sell, so regardless of what I like, it's business.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. You've also told me that you've got a couple beers on your menu that are not gluten-free, but they're gluten-reduced beers. Is that something you set out to do when you started?
That's correct. You know, we have an employee that's actually got, you know, celiacs, and she can't have any gluten. And she's had beers that said gluten-free on them and gotten sick. And that's because by law you can actually say gluten-free below 10 parts per million. You know, that's kind of like an FDA rule or something like that. But in reality, I'm not really into gluten-free beer. I like to actually use the barleys and the malted, you know, whether it be wheat or whatever. And so I make something a little gluten reduced because I do have like a brother who can handle gluten reduced beer, but he has a hard time drinking a few of the regular beers, and it comes out pretty close to normal. It's hard to tell unless you're real super, like you got both beers in front of you at the same time. And so we do it on things that are hard to tell, like IPAs, pale ales, things like that, because they're so hoppy you can't tell. The Kolsch, which is a pretty thin beer anyway. The red ale, which we didn't do it at first, and nobody seemed to be able to tell. But I think that it's nice to have something for people that they can't have a lot of gluten. But if you want gluten-free beer, there's a place in town called Fieldhouse downtown, and they make gluten-free beer, and that's great. They're really good at that, but I just don't do that. I've just never done it.
Yeah, I know a guy that actually had a gluten allergy, and he did a lot of beer judging and stuff over the years, so he really liked the beer. But then he started now to judge ciders, because that's another good option. If you don't want gluten, you can go over and have a cider.
Yeah, I think it is.
So what motivated you to call this place Storybook? I mean, is there a story behind that particular name? Or?
Well, so I started playing music when I was a little kid, and I moved on to playing guitar when I was like 15 years old, and so I was writing songs, and I wrote. I don't want to say I wrote all the songs on a CD. I don't want to call it an album because it sounds better than it is. It's really a horrible grouping of music, but I originally was going to call the place Killhaven, and you can see kind of our Killhaven sign up there. Yeah, Killhaven was a place that I grew up, and it was just a safe haven for Kilmans. I've got 8 brothers, and I got 5 sisters. And so we had like this little area in the house where we would just kind of go away from, the kitchen, away from the parents, everything. It was kind of neat, and that's what I wanted to call it. But my wife and my daughter both were like, well, that's a stupid name because nobody's going to know what that is. So, well, you guys just pick the name. And so my wife started sorting through some CDs and songs that I wrote and said, hey, this Storybook Tripper CD that you put together, why don't you call it Storybook Brewing? And I was like, yeah, well, that's a really horrible name because now you're going to have a bunch of children coming in trying to get beer. And anyway, they won. The daughter and the wife won that battle, and I'm glad they did because it actually worked out. We can use the name to do some things that I'm kind of a geek, so I like dragons. So the Ice Dragon idea was mine, and then Gnomish Beer Goggles and Java Dragon Porter, and just these other names, Little Red's Rocking Ale, just to kind of throw some story into the names.
Well, I noticed that as a big part of your logo, you got that dragon, and it didn't dawn on me until I walked in here tonight, but was the Pete's Dragon connection at all on purpose?
No, believe it or not, I was the vice president of a company for years, and so the boss who owned the place, it was a small company, so it wasn't like, a big deal. It was like me working at, as assistant manager somewhere or something, but he made me go to all these marketing things, and so in marketing they said, well, this IBM blue color is the best color, and I said, well, I love dragons, so what kind of dragon is IBM blue? Oh, it's an ice dragon, so that's why I picked the Ice Dragon.
Okay, that works. Now, another thing that you guys do that I want to mention, you give some of the proceeds from some of your beers or some of the days to different charities around.
Well, usually what we do is we do 20% of all sales on a certain day of the week for an entire month. So last year we did, I think it was like March for Springs Rescue Mission. May was Angels of Americans Fallen because May has got Memorial Day in there and everything. And it's just 20% of all sales that come in when anybody buys anything on a certain day of the week. So it'd be Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or something. And that's how we do it. But this time, Bite Me Sausage asked us to do a collaboration brew, and that's why I said they actually brewed and did the maple bacon, whereas the rest of the browns I did, and then we just kind of put it up there, and $1 of every pint of that beer until it's gone, no matter how long it takes. And it's about 3 barrels of beer is all we did. So.
And it looks like the proceeds from some of this batch are going to Springs Rescue Mission.
Yeah, Springs Rescue Mission's great. I mean, you know what you do? If you want to give money to a charity, you got to look up and find out how much of the money's going to the actual people that need the money and how much of the money goes to the charity guy who works there. I mean, there was one my nephew asked me to donate to, and it was like the guy who was the founder CEO makes $250,000, his wife makes $250,000, and only like 25% of the money goes to the cause. And you're going, well, I'm not donating to that. And I don't even know how, they get away with it. But so you got to be careful.
Yeah, there's some minimum level you have to give in order to be.
Yeah, but Springs Rescue Mission's like over 90%, and it's try and run a business with, over 90% of the money is just given away. And, it only costs you 8 or 10% or something to run the business. It's just hard to do. I don't even know how they do it. They do a great job. So
yeah, that's really awesome that you guys do that. And you said you post those days on your Facebook page and your website?
Yeah, we posted them up as they come in. Right now we're just getting through April. We should be rid of the brown by the end of April, and then probably end up going again with something for Memorial Day in May.
And you guys have got a lot of rotators on tap. Anything new and exciting coming up that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we've got a couple of cool things. So the St. Arnold's Brew Fest is all for charity as well, and they donate 100% of their proceeds. Everybody volunteers. It's actually a really cool brew fest. One of our policies is that we only do brew fests that are for charity. So we do not do profit brew fests. If they say they're for profit, we just sorry.
Which is most of the time. Yeah.
Well, but the problem is when we first opened, it was like there's a brew fest every week.
Absolutely.
And I can't with a 3-barrel system. I can't brew enough beer to do a brew fest every week anyway. So I said, well, how do I make the policy? I said, well, it's simple. I mean, just make it so it's for charity. So we give away all our beer, to whatever charity it is, and. The Feast of St. Arnold is also doing a brew tour this year. What would St. Arnold, the Feast of St. Arnold, the Brew Fest, they're actually doing what would St. Arnold brew? And so I've been barrel aging a beer that's got a lot of honey, fruit, wheat, barley, and it's been sitting in the barrel. By the time we release it, it's only going to be in the barrel about 5 months. And that'll be May 1st because it just popped in the barrel very beginning of January. And that'll be released just for that tour so people can come in with their little card, get the sticker put on it, and win some prize, or they get giveaways and all that stuff. So we'll have that for barrel aging. I've got a barley wine that's been aging about the same amount of time. That's probably going to be a little longer, maybe June. And then for the American Craft Beer Week, which is in May, I've got a cherry sour that's been aging. We made it almost a year ago, and it actually came out really well. We strictly did, the old-fashioned way. You brew the beer, you ferment it. It's done fermenting. You pitch the bacteria in it, let it do its job over a long term. It's kind of scared me. First few months, it didn't have any souring yet. I was like, what's going on? And it turns out it takes a long time to make a sour.
Yeah, we did a sour that we brewed last January, and it's just been sitting around for 14 months now. So
yeah,
and after 6 months in, you're like, it just tastes like butter, and you just wait.
And it looks like butter's on top of it too. It's all cakey and frosting at top. It's funny.
Yeah. Well, Pete, thanks again for letting us come in. We really appreciate you letting us use the space and taking a few minutes to chat with us about what's been going on here at Storybook Brewing.
Hey, thanks a lot, Eric. I appreciate you guys coming in. It's exciting.
All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. That was Pete Kilman, owner of Storybook Brewing, giving us a little information about the space and how he got into this whole thing.
Are you positive we're back?
I am positive we're back, yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's going to be long segments on every show, about how we're not recording, and that's fine. It's good. We need double checks. This is what it's all about. It's all about the discount double check. # State Farm.
# the proest.
Not a sponsor. Maybe they want to be. I mean, we'll see. When people start calling State Farm and say, I heard on your Bill Bears.
There you go.
We have people there.
Holy crap! I did a hashtag in a meeting today.
You actually did a physical
really?
hashtag?
I did.
Do tell.
No, that was it.
Well, what did you hashtag?
Well, I said, someone said something. I said, I'm trending off what she's saying, and they were like, trending? I was like, yes, hashtag trending. And I did the hashtag sign.
Did I mention
like
that?
On
Dad
Jimmy
joke.
Fallon?
Did I mention
All of the dad jokes.
Did I mention that Beehler and I used to do an IT technology related podcast? There's a lot of that left in us.
And y'all are such dads. All the dad jokes.
Well,
every podcast.
I mean that's what we are. We have dad jokes.
No, I'm cooler than you.
Not a dad joker.
Paisley blue polo.
That has nothing to do with it.
Oh, it's
That
true.
has everything to do with it.
Not every week. I haven't in a couple weeks, actually. I've been drinking beer with you people for the last month.
You nerds.
Feels like it's all I'm doing is drinking beer.
Nerds.
We love geek culture. Come out and hang with us, people. We're very nice.
Geeks who drink.
Geeks who drink.
That's reserved.
That's actually a thing.
That's another thing.
That's
If you like trivia, Geeks Who Drinks around town, you can go check that out. So anyway, we have to wrap up the show, but we got 6 more stinking beers to drink.
Oh,
and by the way, not stinking, good beer. So this is numero 6. We've only had 5 before the break, right? So
Numero 6.
Numero 6.
Couldn't remember the.
Ooh, is that the grapefruit one?
This is the blackberry. So blackberry.
Oh my God! Yeah,
it's seis, by the way, numero seis.
This one is my favorite that they have.
And this was
because
the one,
I really love the blackberry flavor.
This is the one you had put down before we left last time, or before we even started last time, right?
Yeah, and I got it again, so I have a whole nother pint of this stuff. That one tastes a bit different than the one I have in the pint glass, though.
Probably just because it's been sitting for a minute.
It's warmed up a little bit, yeah. But no.
Yeah, super blackberry fruit flavor, but it's not overly sweet.
It doesn't like punch you in the face,
right?
But it's
it's not afraid to be a fruit beer.
It's not afraid. He likes it too.
It's not afraid of the fruit.
That's
beer.
2 barks up for the blueberry beer.
I mean, if you're gonna do a fruit beer, do it with fresh blueberries
or blackberries
or blackberries.
Either one.
Like he says he does. He puts the real fruit in there.
Yes, he
this
said
isn't like extract or
he said
come from a tube or something.
He said none of these beers
and these
had any
were
sort of
cloudier. Right, so this one and the strawberry were both.
Yes, the fruity beers
cloudier.
will tend to be very cloudy because there's little chunks of fruit bobbing around in there. Staying on the fruit theme, this is the last straw, berry wheat, also 18 IBU, 7% alcohol, which I think is scary for a nice crisp sweet beer.
Yep, that one again you can drink like all night because it's very strawberry.
Reminds me of a strawberry shortcake I once knew.
Did you eat it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to insert cricket sounds in that little spot there. What is vibrating? Something's just vibrating its ass off on the table. Anyway, this would be.
Don't you dare look at me! Don't you dare!
It's not at all what I insinuated. Just something's like bouncing around. Like I don't know.
Yeah, Beehler was so headed down that direction.
So
don't
even.
Not.
So we're going to keep drinking the strawberry beer. Apparently. Kirei's had enough of the beers.
They do a really well done fruit beer here.
And I'm not a huge fruit beer fan, but this is like after a nice hot day in the sun doing some work, I could put down a couple of these. And at 7%, that'd be the end of my day.
There's a legit dog duel going on over there.
We got a dog. Oh, they're really going at it.
Yes! I'm so excited about this.
I'm voting for the golden looking one.
Beer in a show.
Yeah, this is nice. It might just be.
It's like a YouTube moment here.
Totally come down here and watch the dog duels.
Well, yeah, I mean, this isn't like a sports bar or anything.
And
it's just a bar with beer, it's good beer.
For the record, since we are on audio and no one out there can see what we see, I should note that the dogs are playing. There's in no way like a dog fighting.
There's no legit dog fighting.
You're like, come down and watch the dog fight. So
no, they were playing with like a little frisbee earlier. There's like 4 of them. They were like squaring off. They had their little teams going.
Put money on the beast.
Michael Vick is not in the back corner.
Okay.
Anyway, so what's this one? This is the Crypto Zoo IPA.
Yeah.
So this is the first beer of the night that should. Are you done with your food? We're going to clean that off the table as part of the show.
Thank you.
This is the first one of the night that's going to make you make a face because this is the hoppy beer.
Yep. It was. I don't know. It's not as bad as some of the other hoppy beers, but it is.
I love the way you describe it in negative terms.
No, but like. So again,
by the way, guys, I want you to keep track. By the time we hit episode 50, Kirei's going to take a big sip and go, "That is the hoppiest, most delicious beer I've ever had." She's going to come over to the dark side.
It happens. It happens to everyone.
It happens to all of us.
No.
We all start thinking we don't need it, and then we need it.
No, it's like. I don't know, it tastes like bread. I don't know.
And
you don't like bread?
There should be some bready tones.
I just don't want to drink bread.
So I'm drinking bread. You think you're better than me?
Yes.
Why do you think in prison you get bread and water? You put the bread in the water and let it sit around.
Okay.
If they serve that in prison, I'd think about going.
So Beehler wants to check into the state craft beer penitentiary.
Exactly.
Oh, interesting. No, I like this IPA. I think it's pretty good. It's 6.7%. So by the way, me sucking on one of these and you having a pint of that strawberry, you get drunk faster because yours is more alcohol, which is kind of outstanding. But this one does come in at 71 IBU, and it's not uber hoppy, but you've got the hops. It's grassy, it's earthy, delicious.
Who got the hops?
You got the hops.
Ah.
All right.
Yeah, so where are we?
Let's hit the grapefruit.
So the next one is the Killhaven Grapefruit IPA. This one is 64 IBU. Might be 69. It's hard to tell. It's on a chalkboard. And 7.7%.
So where do those grapefruit notes come from?
Well, so a lot of IPAs have grapefruit notes, and it comes from the hops that they use.
Do that into the mic.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a noise, the face she made.
I don't make noises, but it...
So you like the other IPA better?
I did, actually. It's getting progressively hoppier.
What? Oh, okay, so you taste the hops. Oddly enough, this one is rated as less hoppy.
Do you taste the grapefruit?
Like, barely. Like, barely.
It doesn't have actual grapefruit in it.
No, it's true.
There's not... Well, I mean, like, there's like...
It's very grassy. There's a lot of hop grassiness to this one.
Yes. So I'm gonna call it a kale smoothie.
That's really tasty.
I'm gonna drink some.
I don't drink kale either.
That bad boy. So yeah, there's a lot of hop varietals that you can put in there to get that kind of grapefruity taste. And in fact, grapefruity notes in general is sort of something that they look for in a lot of IPAs. So when you see a grapefruit IPA, one of the big ones that gets distributed nationwide is Sculpin as a grapefruit. And it's not that they're infusing grapefruit. I mean, I guess they could. Some could. But usually it's the hop varietals trying to really tend toward the more citrusy notes and that from the hops. So.
Yeah.
So once we get into these, this is where I start losing words because there's nothing to describe them. But
I mean, you can stick with hop.
More like bread.
Here's the thing: you could, when I say this has bready notes and it's a very grassy, earthy smell and a hoppy flavor, you can say the same thing but mean it in exactly the opposite way as I do. When I go, oh, this is grassy, and you go, oh, God, it's grassy. It means different things. Because I think one beer, I can't remember what beer it was, you said tasted like licking a field of wheat.
Yeah.
I think that was at Whistle Pig. That was one of our first episodes. I believe you said that.
No, that was over at
Manitou.
Oh, Manitou. Yes, they had a.
You're putting everyone out of order.
Well, I'm my brain.
We've been doing a lot of recording.
Every episode that we have recorded before this moment right now was before this moment right now. Whether or not it airs.
Thank you for the timeline lesson of space-time continuum.
Because we actually will travel back in time and get an episode or two under our belts, so that's how we're going to fill in Sweeps Week. The next one up, by the way, is the Angel Feather Brown. 6.2. Only 24 IBU, so we're back to brown. We should be back to more malty flavors for you, Kirei.
Okay.
You won't have to describe your love affair with
Java.
Grass. Oh, she's going back in for the second sip. Let the record reflect.
I've done that with a couple of them. Yeah, that one's...
Java, you say? Like coffee?
Yeah.
No, definitely not like the ports.
Not a heavy coffee. I do want to clarify.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like... I don't know, like watered down coffee, kind of?
Well, yeah, it's like I said.
It's beer.
It's a lighter...
It's beer, but
there's a little Java note to it, but that's just because of the bitterness.
Sounds pretty good.
But the sweetness on the back end is really nice.
Again, what I'd expect from a brown, like a nice, clean, sweet throughout. That's I'm not giving that.
Yeah, the back tongue.
You guys can fight over the others.
It's happy.
I'm keeping my nitro.
We have
I like that one.
Here, put that back in its hole so we know which one it is.
In the hole.
We have but one more to try. Was that from Tiny Toons?
Yes.
Ducky go down the hole.
Ducky go down the hole.
That's all you had to say, and I'm like, I'm with you. This is the alternate awareness Belgian double. This is 8.3%. Not real hoppy, but this one's going to have some yeastiness to it, I think is the word you're going to be looking for if it's a Belgian. Because you're all about the words tonight. What do you think of that? Thoughts, opinions?
I think it's very even.
Oh, I like that one.
Very even, very balanced.
I don't pick up a lot of the bready yeasty.
No, it's not overly...
Nope. No, you don't get.
They really scaled that back a little bit.
You don't get the hops. You do get. You can taste a little bit of the yeast. As for the
a little bit, but there's definitely Belgians that take that
sweet.
much.
Yeah,
it's super. Yeah,
I mean,
the sugar is definitely noticeable.
It's deep amber color too. It's like this beautiful amber color.
And it's not overly carbonated at this moment because it's the last beer we tried. It might have been more when we started, but this being a little flat and a little bit warmer, I kind of want a cigar and treat this like a little sherry.
That shit's gonna fuck you up. I'm not kidding. You keep drinking that.
No, at 8.3%, plus you tack a cigar into the back of that. Whoo, Nelly. Kiss yourself good night and tuck in the kids. All right. Well, that is our whirlwind adventure through the Storybook beers. We're going to go through and talk about our favorites, though, and see where everyone lands. Now, unfortunately, they didn't have the Bourbon Barrel Stout tonight, which if they put on tap again, beat a path to Storybook Brewing and get the Bourbon Barrel. It's phenomenal.
Win that as a growler. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's really good. So, because they didn't have that one and we didn't try that one, we're going to throw it out of the running.
Oh.
Second favorites all the way around. What do you think, Mr. Beehler?
I think the Blackberry was a winner. That's going to be my number 2.
The Whoa. Blackberry. Okay.
And number one is...
we do this in order. It's a teaser.
That's right.
Number 2, Kirei. Number 2.
I'm torn.
You're torn?
So...
Like Natalie Imbruglia?
Yeah. Not so naked on the floor, though.
Oh, very good.
Not so much. So...
No Bound and Broken.
I'm going to change my vote from last week.
Okay. And what are you going with for number 2?
So I'm going to go with Blackberry as number 2. Blackberry was my number 1 last week.
You're going with the Blackberry as number 2. I think I know where your number 1's going, but let's see if that bears fruit, as it were. You know what? I'm a little torn myself. I mean, they have some really nice beers. I think my number 2 is the Java Dragon, and I think if I think
Nitro or CO2.
I think either way you have it, it's my favorite. It's my number 2, but I think I prefer it on Nitro. I prefer the creamy smoothness.
I don't think there's a line. There's a very clear difference for me between the CO2 and the Nitro.
Oh, I agree. I think they're very different beers, but I think either way, I would like the CO2 one would still be my number 2. So I'm going to lump them together, but say that I liked the Nitro, but the Java Dragon Porter in general is my number 1 or my number 2. Now,
okay, where's your number?
You've been anxiously waiting. What's your number?
Yes.
What's number 1?
I'm gonna go with the
tiny drum roll.
Java Dragon on Nitro.
Java Dragon on Nitro, number 1. So my number 2, your number 1.
I'm gonna concur with that.
And the Java Dragon on Nitro. So the Java Dragon on Nitro winning some awards from the Beer Blazers here tonight. And my number 1, and it's just because I'm a hop maniac. I have to go with the Crypto Zoo.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
It's solid.
It's really solid. I really like the Killhaven Grapefruit IPA as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. That's probably my number 3.
Yeah,
the Killhaven.
The Killhaven's really good, but I do like the Crypto
Gnomish
Zoo.
Beer Goggles would be my 3rd.
Gnomish Beer Goggles.
I liked that one, and then probably the Alternate Awareness right behind that.
Wow. So I mean, if you just pick one more beer. Oh, and you like the strawberry, and you like
strawberry's
the blackberry.
Strawberry's good, but it's too it's weak. It's watered down for me.
It is, but here's the thing. We're only a few episodes into the show, and all of a sudden, you like half the beer. That is not how it started. That is not how it. We're gonna have her
this is why I brag
IPAs
about this at work
soon.
because I really loved so many of the beers at this place. So.
Yeah, and it's a good spot for beer. And I'm gonna make sure that while I do what I have to do, Mr. Beehler's gonna think of our tagline. And in fact, before we do all the obligatory how to find us and what to do, I would like to point out that the giveaway in full effect. So you get your growler. How do you get your growler? What you got to do is go on over to our Facebook page and click like. So like us on Facebook. We're trying to build the numbers.
Clicky, clicky.
Tell your friends. Not only could they enter a chance to win a growler, which I know the more people that enter, the less chance you have. But every time we get to 100 listeners, we're giving away one of our Beer Blazer stickers, and every time we get to 1,000, we're giving away a Beer Blazer T-shirt. So like us on Facebook. Keep that drive going. But for this contest, like us on Facebook, and in the comments, we want you to leave your idea for the Beer Blazers tagline. And why is that important? You're going to see in just a second, because Mr. Beehler is going to come up with a tagline while I read the websites.
No. Okay, so
wait, not yet. You get a second to think about it.
He did have a second.
Yeah, you have a second. So that will do it for another episode of Beer Blazers, tonight live from Storybook Brewing in Colorado Springs. You can find us online at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at /BeerBlazers, and at our website, beerblazers.com. If you want more information about Storybook Brewing, head on over to storybookbrewing.com. And I'll put all the links in the show notes so you can find all the websites and some of the beer events we talked about as well. And if you're out drinking, having a good time, want to share a story, or just drunk dial us.
Please, God, drunk dial us.
Please drunk dial us. You will, by the way, this is your warning, be on the show if you do that. Our number, we won't live, we'll just play back your voicemail, don't worry about it. But anyway, our number is 720-263-0337. We're going to start drunk dialing ourselves if you guys don't.
I will seriously do this.
So that's how you can get a hold of us. Thanks again for listening. For Beer Blazers, I'm Eric Johnson, and the tagline?
Reading with dog trainers at Storybook with Beer Blazers.
Huh?
Think about it.
Oh, hey, I'm Kirei.
I'm the other one.
And he's the other one. We will see you guys next week.
Yay.